Well, I studied at Monash University. That was, I did a Bachelor of Fine Art there, and graduated in 2010. And so that was quite early, pretty directly out of high school. So it was sort of like a really early beginning of my practice, I suppose. I studied in printmaking, print media. So it was a lot of it was very technical, a lot of technical abilities that I kind of gained there. For me, it's not sort of about those specific medium, ways of working or techniques as the idea, print media or printmaking as a way of sharing and sort of disseminating information. I suppose the printmaking and that sort of foundation of my practice actually led me to look at working online with making web-based artwork, because it sort of, for me, that's the contemporary equivalent of print media, sort of a way of sharing information, media forms that are being used today rather than traditional fine art. In my mind, it's a very logical step. It's kind of working with the ideas of the internet and networks, information networks, but without using the internet itself as a medium. I think there are better ways to talk about connectedness and the experience of living in a world which is so connected than something that's very specific, like which is also evolving so quickly. The work that I showed at BUS was, I mean, obviously really to do with the medium of rubber, or the object, the material of it, and its history. And I guess I'm using that as a way to talk about how the environment is very similar to the internet, a connected form of information, data, an exchange, and network. And so rubber's such a great way of kind of almost like a case study or something, I suppose. It's sort of has all those qualities and is very widely used, and so that it was a really good way for me I felt to kind of communicate what I was trying to say in about sort of networks, and which obviously ties back to that sort of printmaking or work. It's almost come back to that, even though it seems like quite a departure. I suppose it was an attempt. It was to sort of harvest and to make my artistic practice sustainable, in terms of the materials that I used, and being aware of the environmental impacts of those. So I wanted to kind of harvest this material myself, find a way to make sure the materials I was using were sustainable, which, I mean, is unfortunately not possible completely. Perhaps in printmaking it's very obvious, the impact, of particular chemicals that you're using. It's very obvious. You're very involved with it, these kind of harsh chemicals, whether it's on your own health or, the waste product and how that's disposed of, which I think is all different media have that, but it's so obvious, and so you're so exposed to it in printmaking, so I think you have to think about it. You do, naturally have to speak about it. As one of BUS spaces, the Gallery 5 that I had is actually quite enclosed in a way, so there is, I feel like the other spaces, the other gallery spaces, there is more sense of dialogue with the work around it. It's, I suppose, inevitable in some way. Whereas Gallery 5 is a bit more enclosed. Although on the other hand, it's almost more of a blank space, because some of the other gallery spaces have particular features, like the way people move through them, or the things like that, which sort of have to be dealt with in an exhibition and installing. Yeah, so I felt I had enough freedom to work in there. I didn't feel that my work changed greatly during the install. It was quite straightforward, I think. It was really as I'd imagined it, I guess, yeah. Whereas I think certain spaces, you know, you'd come in and see the work in the space and need to change something about it. I think I felt that it was quite successful in terms of what I had hoped to get out of it. And I suppose going forward, it won't be a kind of you know, I'll continue in a similar vein, but I suppose continue to use materials that I've found or collected and incorporate that much more into my work. Find ways, say, to even make the paper myself. Processes where instead of importing things or, you know, buying the materials, not in a, it won't become, the work itself won't purely be about that, but it'll certainly be a way that I approach things in the future. Just continuing to make sure the materials are sustainable or, you know, produced by me, I guess. Yeah.